everyone, it's Sheri Vegas and welcome back to Artist Tips Thursday. In this quick tutorial, I'm going to be showing you a game-changing technique that you can use while you're creating your 3D resin flowers. So if you're new to creating those 3D flowers, you're probably having this issue where all of the pigment just goes straight to the bottom and you don't get any of that beautiful, gorgeous petal effect. So I'm going to be sharing two of my favorite game-changing tips that really helped me create pieces that look like this instead of like this. So the first thing is you just need to understand a little bit about resin. If you have a cup of resin, just clear resin that you've mixed up, and you split it off into 2 even cups, they're going to weigh the same, they're going to be the same density. As soon as you start to add pigment into one part of that resin to color it, you're changing up the density and it's going to be heavier because you've added pigment and you've still got the original resin in the other cup that's uncolored. So therefore, when you add that colored resin into the clear resin, it's going to automatically sink to the bottom. So a few things that you can do that will stop that from happening is, one, don't go overboard on the amount of pigment you add in. If you go in with really like pigment paste, you know, titanium white, which is a dense, heavy pigment, it's going to sink to the bottom. So less is more with the amount of pigment you add in. One of my favorite ones to use to create the white petals is a white alcohol ink because it's very lightweight and also disperses really beautifully throughout the resin. So less is more when it comes to the pigment. And the second thing that you need to think about is, when are you adding that colored pigment into your clear resin? So if you add it in straight after that resin's been mixed up, it's going to be at its most fluid point. It's going to have the most viscosity because as resin comes and it starts to set, it gets thicker and thicker and thicker until eventually it hardens. So at the first point when you've mixed it up, you've added your color in, within that first 5 minutes, it's going to have the most movement of that resin. So if you add that pigment in straight away, it's going to have all of that time, the pot life from when it's been first mixed up to when it sets, to be able to move. So we need to give the resin a little bit of time to thicken before we do add our petals in. So if you do it straight away, it's going to have too much time to move, expand out, and you're going to lose all of the shapes you created and most likely give it time to sink to the bottom. So those are two incredibly important tips if you want to get those perfect 3D resin blooms every single time, is one, the pigment, and two, the timing. And if you want a more in-depth tutorial about this, I do have one up here, so definitely go and check that out. I go over what not to do and what to do.